Not all NBA players are lucky. Some may be on bad teams or suffer terrible injuries throughout their NBA career, and some fall away from the moments in the clutch. And for these 5 players, present and retired, they had great NBA careers, but they were never really fortunate to really have a good situation around them. Today I'm going to be talking about the top 5 most unlucky NBA players. This isn't all time, but this is just a list. Enjoy. Number 5, DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins has had a pretty tough career. First, he got traded from a city that he loved in Sacramento, and for the years that he was there, they never built a great supporting cast around him, and he could never make the playoffs. Then he gets traded to the Pelicans, and he teamed up with Anthony Davis. These two were seen as the next Twin Towers. But for that season, when he first arrived there, the Pelicans, they didn't make the playoffs. And then following that next season, Cousins was back, and he was at all-star form, playing extremely well. And then he tore his Achilles, an injury that has ruined a lot of NBA players' career, and Kevin Durant just had this injury. It ruined Kobe Bryant's NBA career pretty much. Yeah, torn Achilles is nothing to play with. The sad part is that the Pelicans, they played actually better once DeMarcus Cousins wasn't on the team anymore, and they even made the second round that year, and they swept the Blazers in the first round. So DeMarcus Cousins was pretty tired of not making the playoffs and not even being able to play in his first playoff game. So he made the decision that was best for him, and that was to go to the Warriors so he could get back to 100% at his own time, because the Pelicans, they wanted him to come back eventually and soon so they can make a deep playoff run with him and Anthony Davis. So he signs with the Warriors, and the Warriors were seen as pretty much an unstoppable team at that point. Nobody was gonna be able to beat these guys. And once he returned from injury, DeMarcus wasn't at his all-star form, but he still contributed a lot. But we all know what ends up happening. They make the NBA Finals, Kevin Durant gets hurt, and then Klay Thompson gets hurt, which led to the Warriors being really vulnerable, and they end up losing that series. So DeMarcus could have really had himself an easy ring, but Kevin and Klay both go down with injury. And now for DeMarcus, we really don't know what he's gonna do. No NBA team has really shown interest in him right now. But free agency is still a very long process. So hopefully DeMarcus Cousins signs with a team that's a really good fit for him, and that he can do something really special there, because I believe in DeMarcus Cousins that he still has a chance to still be that number 1 guy on a great team. Number 4, Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing is one of the greatest centers of all time, but throughout his entire NBA career, he could never win an NBA championship. Like the time in 1995. This was the year that the Knicks, they played against the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals, and Reggie Miller, in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, made 8 points in 9 seconds, and the Pacers will end up winning that game. And in Game 7, Patrick Ewing was given the opportunity to easily go in the paint and get a wide open shot. And that's exactly what he did, but he ends up missing a wide open layup. Yeah, it was somewhat contested, but Patrick Ewing is 7 foot tall, and he has no excuse either to lay that in or dunk the ball. But this isn't just it. The season prior, the New York Knicks were actually in the NBA Finals. This was the time that, of course, Michael Jordan was out for retirement, and the league was actually balanced since Michael wasn't there. So when the Rockets played the Knicks, Patrick Ewing was expected to be the man for his team, but that was quite the opposite. He only averaged 18.9 points a game, and he got dominated by Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem was averaging 27 points a game, while the next highest scorer on his team was only averaging 13.4 points a game. So this man, he single-handedly carried his team to an NBA championship that year. And Patrick Ewing had a way better supporting cast around him compared to what the Rockets did. Come on, man. Come on. Number 3, Chris Paul. Chris Paul is one of the greatest little point guards of all time. But throughout his entire career, Chris Paul has failed to make it far in the playoffs, like when he was on the New Orleans Hornets. They could never put the right supporting cast around him to actually compete further in the playoffs. And then once Chris demanded a trade, the Lakers were the front runners for him, and they actually got him on the team for like an hour. Because Chris Paul was about to be in a situation where he would play with Kobe Bryant, and him and Kobe Bryant, we all know they would have won multiple NBA championships. But at the time, the league owned the Hornets, and they vetoed the trade. Many people thought this was rigged, but the NBA had all the control of this team. They owned the Hornets, so they had the right to veto the trade. And it eventually led to Chris Paul getting traded to the little brother in Los Angeles, the Clippers. one of the most cursed franchises in NBA history. And yeah, they did have some talent with Blake Griffin there and DeAndre Jordan, but that team could never get past the second round of the playoffs. And that had to do a lot with injury, because Chris Paul, he will be out with injury, or it will be Blake Griffin who will be out with injury. So none of those two could really stay healthy. And then they also had locker room issues, so this wasn't going to really work out. So then he was traded to the Rockets. Many people questioned this move, but it actually worked out. The Rockets, they were the best team in the NBA last season, and they made it all the way to the Western Conference Finals for the first time in Chris Paul's NBA career. Then boom. When the Rockets were leading 3-2 in the series, Chris Paul goes down in Game 5 with a hamstring injury, and that pretty much was it for the Rockets. He was going to miss the 2 remaining games of that series, and the Rockets wound up losing. Chris Paul could pretty much taste the NBA Finals, but injuries derailed that again. Now he's 34 years old, and he's actually on the decline. He has one of the worst contracts in the NBA so far. Houston, I'm so sorry. Number 2, Tracy McGrady. Tracy McGrady is a Hall of Famer, and everyone, even Kobe Bryant himself, said that Tracy McGrady was one of the hardest players he's ever had to guard. But throughout his entire NBA career, he's gone through a lot. He could never get Orlando past the first round of the playoffs. And when they acquired Tracy McGrady, they also got Grant Hill on the team, an all-star and one of the best players in the league at that time. Once he got to Orlando, though, it's just like something just happened to him. He suffered a vast amount of injuries. Throughout the time that Tracy was in Orlando, they didn't even play a full regular season together in all the years that Tracy McGrady was in Orlando. But it actually gets worse, because they were very close also to sign Tim Duncan. As a matter of fact, the deal was already done, but then Doc Rivers told Tim Duncan that he wasn't allowed to bring his family on the team planes, and that pretty much made Tim Duncan like, hey man, like, really? So he resigns with the San Antonio Spurs, and we all know what ends up happening with him. But Tracy would end up getting traded to the Houston Rockets, and he will be teaming up with Yao Ming, which wasn't really a bad duo at all, but this team, they could never get past the second round of the playoffs. As a matter of fact, they only made the second round once. What ruined this duo is injuries. Yao Ming missed a lot of time with injuries, and Tracy McGrady was starting to really miss a lot of time with injury. And then his career was really on the rapid decline. He was even on the San Antonio Spurs team back in 2013 that wound up losing the NBA Finals that year to Miami Heat. We all know who that has to do with Ray Allen hitting one of the most clutch shots in NBA history. Then going on in Game 7, Miami Heat took care of business and won that game. Hey, McMahon, I feel for you, dog. Number 1, Michael Jordan's victims. Michael Jordan, throughout his entire NBA career, has trash-talked a lot of his opponents and even teammates. A lot of you know these stories, but 2 of them I have to talk about in this video. And that's Ronnie McRae and Kwame Brown.
Kwame Brown is gone. The City of Angels, Hollywood, just should be celebrated. Throw a parade already, whether you win a championship or not. This man was a bona fide scrub. He can't play. No disrespect whatsoever, but I'm sorry to tell everybody the truth. The man cannot play the game of basketball. He has small hands. He can't catch the ball. He's got bad feet. He can't really move, even though he's mobile. Doesn't really know what he's doing. Doesn't have a post move that he puts to memory.
First off, let's start with Ronnie. He was a pretty good role player throughout his entire NBA career until he was on the Chicago Bulls. When he was acquired on the Bulls, being the new guy on the team, Michael Jordan really wanted to test him and see what he was made of. And to do that, it led to Michael calling him a loser and saying that he sucks and really just trying to tough him up. But he went from averaging 9 points a game to 3.5 for the Bulls, and that has to do a lot with the Michael Jordan. The worst part was that was the last year of his NBA career. So yeah, Michael Jordan, he really took a toll on the man. He was only 31 years old too, so he still had a long career still ahead of him. All I have to say is dang, Mike. Dang. And now moving on to Kwame Brown. He was the first in NBA history to get drafted first overall out of high school. And Michael Jordan really wanted the best for Kwame. He took Kwame under his wing because he wanted what was best for him. He showed him how to be successful because Kwame had a really rough child upbringing. So he wanted to show him the lifestyle he'll be living once he's successful. But for Kwame, he was already setting himself up for failure. Because when he was drafted, he was interviewed and he said the guy took probably the biggest risk of his life, picking a high school player. Number 1, Brown says, I'm conscious that if I screw up, I'm messing with Michael's reputation. I know he's going to work me to death. So yeah, not only are you setting yourself up for failure, he really wasn't mentally prepared for the NBA and what Michael Jordan was about to do to this man. because Mike was already grumpy, having to come out of retirement to play, and that didn't really help. When Michael Jordan was in practices, he would embarrass Kwame Brown. Michael Jordan once before played him because Brown convinced him to, because he thought since he was bigger, taller, and younger, he could take Michael Jordan. But Michael Jordan shut that down immediately. He killed him on 101, and he said that, "I'll make you call me daddy." He even made Kwame cry before in practice, and Kwame, he denies this. But knowing Michael Jordan, it probably did happen. But yeah, he ruined him. He was really gonna try to build him back up so he could be tougher than what he was. But that didn't work on Kwame Brown, and he would end up being one of the worst draft busts in NBA history. But there are already videos really covering this topic. That's why I didn't really go into detail about it. But yeah, man, Kwame, man, I'm just sorry, man. But I hope you guys enjoy this video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more great content. Don't forget to stay positive. Have a great day. Peace.